Here with Craig Falcon. So he's got one more to share with us today.
Well, Bigfoot Adventures seems like they've been following our people around forever. I want to tell you a story because I've seen Bigfoot in really diverse areas, and this next one is when I seen Bigfoot at Mount Adams on the Yakima Reservation. I was out there hunting with my good friend. I don't know if he's still alive. His name was Frank Gopher. And Frank came pick me up that morning. He said, well, let's go elk hunting. And we went up to this Mount Adams. It's a gated place where, you know, only certain people can go there. And we were driving along and on these switchback roads, and it was evening time about this time, and we seen elk tracks. So we were just kind of following them in the vehicle and getting closer and closer. And he was looking down the road at one point, and he thought he seen something. And just when I looked over at him, I could see right in the trees, probably 30, 40 yards away, there's a great big figure, and it was just kind of standing behind a tree. And its whole body was hidden behind these giant trees. But every once in a while, it just kind of peek around these trees and look at us. And Frank was sitting there freaked out. He couldn't believe that there was a Bigfoot that close. And he immediately wanted to turn around and go home. I said, no, let's just keep hunting. We still got a little bit of daylight left. And we were just gonna pull out, and that Bigfoot just kind of stepped out of that tree. And it just stood there, just like a man. It just stood there, plain as day, just looking at us 40, 50 yards away.
So that would be about like from here to maybe which tree?
See that tree in the background that's leaning?
Yeah.
That far away.
That's not far.
No, not very far at all.
Dang.
And it was probably a good 7, 8 feet tall. It was pretty intimidating. And we hunted a little bit more, and then we hightailed it out of there, because it was quite an experience. This next story, let's see. It took place over by 9 Mile. And if you know where Skibby Matt's house is, it's right where 9 Mile Inn is. He has a ranch there.
Okay, yeah.
Well, back behind his house, there's this really nice place to hunt, and there's some like really dark hidden trails in there. And I was back there hunting, and you could just, pretty soon that smell, it's just like an overwhelming smell of stench, like something almost dead, but it's not dead. And you could smell that, and I was smelling that, and I was thinking, okay, that's not a bear. I knew by experience that it must have been a Bigfoot. And I started walking, and pretty soon you could just hear it, just that whole damn valley just echoed when it started screaming. And it was really loud. It was like, it's like somebody with a big voice, a deep voice, but a high pitch. And it was almost like a whistle towards the end. That thing followed me probably a good 3 miles, and you could hear it, and you could hear it snapping things like it was just aggressive. And that I tell you, that hunting trip turned very short, very fast, because I turned around and I knew that there was something there, but I just couldn't figure it out. But those encounters like that, they happen a lot around here, and I think it's due to the Blackfeet being so spiritual and so connected to the natural world. Because growing up, you know, you're taught about Bigfoot. It's nothing evil. It's not a devil or a demon or something like that. It's just something that Creator made that's just very elusive. I mean, still today, if you look at science, they're finding new species of this or that, even today. So this probably falls right in line with that. But at the same time, when you look at the spiritual aspect of Bigfoot in this country, Like this old man, he used to have a Bigfoot lodge. His name was Leo Chief. He's an old man, he passed on. And in his Bigfoot lodge, he had songs that called Bigfoot in, songs that would send Bigfoot home. And he put me to fast one time out at Chief Mountain. I was fasting up there, and on that third day, you know, he came and checked on us, and I was doing all right. And he said, he taught us different things on how to call Bigfoot. And if you do that, don't be scared, don't run, you know, things like that. Just be really brave, and you won't be hurt. So that day, I thought, I was optimistic. I didn't really, I mean, I really didn't believe him until I went out there and tried it. So I did what he told me to do. And I went back to the lodge we were camping in. And I was with this other young man, and he was fasting also. And pretty soon we could hear something coming. And you could hear it going through the trees. Like when a big animal goes through the trees, you can hear the branches like snapping. Especially if they're big branches, that they have a deeper snap than a little branch. And you hear that coming, and we thought, oh, we might have a bear. We didn't think Bigfoot at first. And one thing that old man told us about, spiritually about Bigfoot, was that the Bigfoot is just a big innocent being that Creator gave all kinds of cool things to. So that Bigfoot, I know I'm going to sound crazy here, but that Bigfoot could change itself into different things, like a tree. It could turn itself into a tree, and you could walk right by it. So we kept hearing this thing, and just like the snow, how crunchy it is, you could hear it coming. You could hear somebody walking and getting closer and closer. And pretty soon we were on the west side of the lodge, and the door was facing east. We were both sitting there, and you could hear it standing right behind us. And then pretty soon you could hear it walking slowly around towards the front door. And as it was getting closer, we were getting scared, more scared, more scared. And you could tell that this thing, whatever it was, weighed hundreds and hundreds of pounds, just by the sound of the crunching that it was doing walking. There's dry grass and dry twigs on the ground, and you could hear him snapping and crunching just right next to us, feet away. And then the weirdest thing happened. We started praying, and we started, asking that, for some help. That we're just here praying and fasting and hoping for a good fast for, people that we're praying for, and don't harm us or don't scare us. And that was our prayer. And then just like that, those big steps, they came to that front door. And we were right there just thinking, okay, this is it. We're going to see something, and something is going to come out, and something's going to happen. And what stepped around to that front door just made us really freak out. What walked around with those big noisy steps was a gopher about this big. It was a little gopher, and he stood right at that front door. And he was just kind of like rubbing his hands like he was laughing at us. And then it walked away. And just like that, all the big sound, the big steps, those branches snapping, everything just disappeared. So, and looking at it from that old man's perspective of Bigfoot is not evil. So that old man taught me a lot of different things about the Bigfoot Lodge and how Bigfoot works. So just to rule out any of those crazy things that people say in the world, that Bigfoot's evil, Bigfoot's a devil, or Bigfoot's this or that, There's never been an incident of Bigfoot killing anyone or being mean to anyone. He's always fleeing or just being curious. So that Bigfoot Lodge is a medicine lodge that helps people when they're sick. Bigfoot is just like us, just one of God's creations that is very elusive. So that lodge that he used to have 4 songs that went with it: a calling song, and 2 doctoring songs, and a going home song. this probably isn't the best place to share those, but those are the things that he had.